Welcome, one and all, to the LangTime studio as it was intended to be. Just me talking at the screen for 2 hours. Though not quite. Everybody remind me, I've got a meeting at 4, so please give me a reminder. I want to jump off at 3:55. So, for those who are not aware, those who aren't in the Discord, unfortunate news, Jessie was called into jury duty today, which, as you know, there are a series, an hour ago, oh dear, but there are a series of steps that need to happen in America to serve on a jury. The way it goes like this. If you are a registered voter above the age of 18, then there is a chance, oh dear. Oh my, look at that. Adobe Creative Cloud. Adobe Creative Cloud is needed to resolve the problem, as if we know what the problem is. We're going to go ahead and hit quit on this. What was I going to say? The problem, I know. I'm here by myself, and Jessie's computer wasn't on. She actually came back for lunch. I forgot to ask her to turn her computer on and do things like that, so I've had to manage it myself. And it looks like we're beach balling with Adobe Creative Cloud at the moment. So I will take this opportunity to explain to you again how the American jury duty system works. So occasionally, you know, if you're 18 and a registered voter and all that, you will be called in to serve on a jury duty. This would happen randomly. So in other words, they just go through the registrars and randomly select people to serve on a jury. Apparently this had never happened in Jessie's life. But since she's moved here and changed her voter registration, she was called for jury duty. And the way it works now is usually for 1 week, you call the day before after 5 p.m. and they tell you if you need to come in. And sometimes you don't need to at all. For example, I served on jury duty last December. I called in every single day and I did not ever need to go in. And so that counted as my jury service, meaning that I was clear to be called for the next 5 years. So I'm like done for the next 5 years, which is great. Jessie randomly was called in. She called after 5 p.m. on Friday and then on Tuesday because Monday was a holiday. And she didn't have to go in. However, yesterday after 5 p.m., she was told to report at 8 a.m., which was like, all right, that's a bummer. But when you get to this stage, often they will call a few people in and say, okay, that's all we need for the week. You all can go home and you have credit for your jury duty for the next 5 years. That's usually what happens. However, sometimes you're actually called into a courtroom, at which point in time they take, say, 40 or 50 people, however many people fit in the courtroom, and they winnow that down to 14, 12 jurors and 2 alternates. Jessie has apparently proceeded to that point where she's in the courtroom. I have only been there once, and they formed a jury before I was called up to even answer questions. Jessie has proceeded to the point where she is answering questions. So, anyway, that's where we are at. I was hoping that even though she got called into jury duty this morning, she would be able to make the stream today, but unfortunately not. We will find out when she gets back, because like I can't even communicate with her by text because she's actually in the courtroom part, not in the part where you can just sit there and do work. Anyway, we'll find out at 4:30 if she actually has to serve on a jury and if she's going to miss any more LangTime. Heaven forfend. Yeah, and then of course there is the old trick. If you talk about jury nullification, you'll be immediately excused because technically there is a rule in the United States that if the entire jury decides that the law is unjust, they can come back with a ruling not of innocent or guilty or not guilty, but saying the law is wrong. And so the case is dismissed and the jury actually nullifies the law. It is a technicality that, you know, honestly doesn't really happen in the modern age, but theoretically can. And so if you talk about it during jury selection, the rumor is that you'll just be immediately excused before you say anything else about it. Anyway, all right. So that is where we are at today, and I was stalling for time as documents opened. It looks like we're now opened and we're all ready. So what we are going to do is I'm going to, resolve the last poll, but then we're not going to work on the beaver language because I want Jessie and I to be together so we can both be responsible when we don't remember what we did earlier on. I don't want that to just be on me. Anyway, so we're going to work on the old languages and work on Sovála vocabulary. I'm also going to periodically try and not get distracted by chat. Oh, that's too bad, Logan. Well, let everybody at your work meeting, your regularly scheduled work meeting, know that you've got more important things to be doing, and they do as well. They should all be tuning in to see me talk by myself without Jessie. I would really love to look at our viewer count and see it just plummet after I say that Jessie isn't going to be here for the day. Anyway, so let's start where we left off last week, because I do want to explain some things. We have a poll for the beaver language, and I actually want to pull up the document. I hope this isn't going to be, it's fine. So this is, because I want to show you where we were last time, and then explain what we did for the poll. This was it. So we were examining rules that we had because there was a bizarre, there was something bizarre that happened where, I can't remember what specifically it was, but it was like we were getting geminates and assimilation in one place but not in another place. And so it was like a nasal was going from labial to alveolar, and then the thing after it was going from alveolar to labial, and so it was a really weird mismatch, and we wanted to try and fix it. We came up with 4 possibilities, and I wrote them all up, and when Jessie and I looked at them, she was like, ooh, I don't like those. And so we removed 2 of the options, left 2, and then there was a clear preference. That is, Jessie had a very clear preference. I was even thinking of adding an option that said choose the one that Jessie wanted. But I will tell you that the option that won was the option she wanted to win anyway. So we're all good. Anyway, but so we had, I don't even want to go over the ones that didn't make it into the poll. I'm just going to jump to the poll itself. But essentially we were looking at was this rule where the kind of bilabials are going to H, labiodentals are going to bilabials, and then we had potential nasal assimilation. Yeah, poll ended. Anyway, the results of the poll were clear, so even if one of the polls wasn't ended, the others were, and yeah, it wasn't close. So here's one option. We had labiodentals becoming bilabials and then nasal assimilation. I tried to list as many options that I thought were relevant, but you can see that we have kind of this merger where no, anime fan, Jessie is not here. She has jury duty, so we're not doing a regular episode. True, Jonathan. So we have a nasal merger, so we have anything that's like antha or antha or amtha or amtha or angtha or angtha. All of that would be going to antha and antha. So there's a merger there. then we had kind of a non-merger. The merger would happen late, so that if we started out with anfa and anva, and amfa and amva, both of these would go to bilabials, and then they would go to H. And so then we end up with like anha, amha, angha, so on. Same with if they're bilabials initially, you know. I think this was the part where there was a little bit of strangeness originally. Mail incoming. Get ready. All right. And then I wanted to show some other. Okay, so these were. We had what I think of as the Korean sound change that Jake suggested. So like anpa would go to anma. The place of articulation would remain, but the stop would turn into a nasal, and that would happen with L as well. So amla would become amna. Then we had assimilation, and so like anma would become amma. Oh, and this is why. This is why. These were strange. Anma is one thing. Amna is another thing. Amnga is weird. And anga is even weirder. This was, we couldn't abide this. We couldn't abide this in the modern language. We could not abide anga. There was just no way that was going to work. And so we decided to apply nasal assimilation so that we'd end up with anga, amma, anna, anga, anna, and so on. So geminates with the nasals. So that was one option. That was option A. Option B was to stick with our original sound changes and then throw in nasal assimilation. So we'd still have the antha, amtha merger. That was fine. But we'd also have the F and V going to theta and theta. And this is where we kind of have the double switch. Ampha goes to amtha. Then there's nasal assimilation, and it becomes antha. So it's the labiodentals merging with the interdentals. And this includes angfa and angba. Yeah, theta and theta. What else do you call them? I don't know. Ev, I guess. I like theta and theta. Ev, get out of here. Ed is a not very good name. I don't like it. We should suggest that, Karis, because I have to tell you, Jessie is terrified of the prospect. She was like, you know, for today, she was like, I'll understand if you want to just cancel the stream, because I would be absolutely terrified to do a stream all by myself. And I'm like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? I live for this. Anyway, so yeah, but we'll see if we can foist that upon her. Anyway, so yeah, so we have the antha and antha. All of this stuff is merging. All of that stuff is merging. We get more theta and theta, or eth and eth. Then we still have the bilabials going to H, and we still have the distinction before H. So we have anha, amha, and angha. And then we have the nasal assimilation rule where anma becomes amma, anga becomes anga, and so on. So basically it was, where is the merger going to be? We're going to have a little bit of theta and a lot of H, or kind of a lot of theta and a little bit of H. That was where the distinction was. We had some other options that would have led to other things, but Jessie did not like them. Oh, phi theta? Huh, I guess I did. Anyway, so yeah, Jessie didn't like them, and you know, it is my job, my sacred duty to keep Jessie happy and appease her, and you know, how could I not? And so anyway, we got rid of those other options, which featured no gemination. This was, I think, the real issue. So we would have ended up with anga, which was terrible. We might have done this in a less aggressive fashion by saying that nasal assimilation only happens when the nasal position is like pre-velar to velar, but then it doesn't happen anywhere else. Amna and anma, yeah, that's fine. Amna and anma, but then amna would have become anga. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, but we didn't. We just went the simple route, and we kind of like this because, you know, there was it was going to make it sound more Finnish, I think. Anyway, so the vote, I'm just going to scroll down to the confidant poll because this is pretty indicative of the results. It was pretty much 2/3 were in favor of more theta and theta, less H, as opposed to more H and less theta and theta. So that is the winner. B is the winner. I'll write that up in the sound changes, and we will hopefully get back to the Beaver language next week with Jessie and I together again. Anyway, by the way, something I was thinking about because we were watching it in Cheers is a joke that really dates you, and I don't know if it's a joke, and honestly, I don't get it. It's not funny or fun. It's just kind of dumb. But especially for you younger folk, do you have any idea, any reference at all, if I say tastes great, less filling? Does that mean anything to you? My hope is no. I hope that dies. I hope it's done. Because it was never funny. It was just lame. And yeah, Danielle, yeah, you're old enough to get it. It was probably an ad. It became like a meme throughout, I don't know, the 70s and 80s. And I don't know, it was just this lame thing where people were arguing about something they both liked. And some of them were saying that the fact that it tasted great was the best thing about it. Whereas others were saying, no, it's less filling. That's the best thing about it. And so then you just get people chanting it. They would chant it at sporting events, and it just wound up in television shows and in commercials. It was never very funny. It was just stupid. I mean, it's not even as funny as Where's the Beef, which is only marginally funny. And yet it was just so pervasive, like even into the 90s, that everybody just knew what it meant, kind of. Anyway, something very lame. I'm so glad that it is dead. Well, if you don't want to feel full, I can understand that. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know where exactly to start. I'm going to try to start with the issue. So anyway, that is where we sit. I think I will write up the sound change rule as it is and delete this so that there's a marginally new document for everybody. And I will, well, you know what, I'll minimize this just in case we want it later. I think I'm also going to minimize Hauhoff for the moment, and we will go to Wokuthiju. All right. So help me, Patrick. TG your LF. this is what I would like to do. So the game that we're working on, Sovála, we need some names for classes. Um, I came up with. Actually, I do want to bring up How for a moment. One of the classes is a kind of character that's in a little mech suit that, kind of a steampunky style mech suit. I'm going to turn on an additional light. That they operate. Three of these are mice. One of them is an opossum, and the other is a dog. It's the same thing that it is in Hungarian. It's a long U. In Wokotiju, it's a high tone U. That's it. And yeah, we were kind of trapped by that one. Should have gone back and just not had an U in that language. So this class, and I don't know what to call them in English. I was calling them tanks just because that was an easy thing. But I don't know if you call those mechs or auto armors. I don't know what they're usually called in anime. But it's a little animal that's operating a mech. Not a super large one, like a powered exoskeleton indeed, like in Exo Squad. Thank you. Exactly like Exo Squad. Everybody remembers Exo Squad, right? The popular cartoon series from the 90s. Mecha. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just wanted to show you a picture of Exo Squad. Look what's happening. This is just absurd. Anyway, so I figured that the mice would be the ones who, excelled with this class. They have the best one. They have the most of them. And then there's Exo Squad. They had a unique prediction for hairstyles that people would kind of shave horizontal stripes into the sides of their head. Anyway, where are these are the Exo Squad good guys. Look at this. Look at these hairstyles. Like, they were like, people will do that. I mean, it certainly is unique. I'll give them that. But yeah, they go about in things like this. And they're not enormous, so it's like, a person can kind of climb into it. They're just, slightly larger, and they're metal and have things on them. So whatever the heck these are called. In something like Evangelion, they're huge. In a lot of Japanese anime, they're huge. And like in Pacific Rim, and rightfully so. Like, if you can make it huge, why wouldn't you? But for these, they're going to be not super large. Anyway, so I was thinking about what to call these things, and there was only one of these. Ooh, there you go. Good analogy, George. Bigger than Master Chief's suits, smaller than Gundam. That works. Well, Patrick, they wouldn't make their mechs huge because I need them to not do that. That's why. Anyway, so I was trying to come up with words for these, and I was like, well, the dogs only have one of them, and it's a lower tier one. And so I thought the dogs would kind of like come up with a janky one. In fact, I specifically was imagining a little Scotty dog piloting this little mech. And I was like, well, what might they call this? Because the dogs aren't supposed to have as close a relationship with the mice as the opossums or the rabbits. The mice have, good relations with the rabbits and opossums. The dogs have somewhat good relations with I think it was the opossums and the rabbits. I think so. Anyway, so my thought was, oh, well, why don't we call it a metal dog? And then I was like, oh my gosh, we can do the coolest thing. Let's make the word for metal T-O-E, pronounced toy, in Haugauf, so that the word for metal dog was toy dog, or toy bram. I was very, very pleased with myself. Then I thought, oh, wait a minute. Isn't the order of modifier and noun in Haugauf, isn't it noun adjective? And I realized, oh, that's right. And so then I had to go back to Haugauf because we made a mistake. And so I'll pull it up. We did it right at the end of some stream, and so we can be forgiven a tiny bit. But boy, this really does take a while, this scrolling, doesn't it? Here we go. So we had this associated animate. We had this associated animate, and it was a suffix. This associated animate suffix came from Proto-Bel, which was an older word for dog in one of the other languages. And it was kind of funny because our augmentative could potentially start with a V. Our diminutive could potentially start with a V. And then our associate animate could also start with a V, a dotted V, a va. And so it was like, oh, geez. Anyway, but then I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's wrong. This thing shouldn't be a suffix. Because, like, if you're associated animate, let's say that, like, I don't know, you're a stick dog, right? Then dog is the head. Stick is the modifier. And so it should be dog stick. And so in other words, this thing should be a prefix, not a suffix, and that screwed everything up because we created it so that the L would just drop off at the end. Now it had to be reintroduced. And so essentially we created this prefix, or I turned it into this prefix, and it's kind of interesting. When it's applied to a word that begins with a vowel, the E of it is tense. So belocho. When it occurs before a consonant, the L serves as a coda, which brings the vowel down, makes it not tense, and so it's bram with an E. And so that's kind of fun. Anyway, so that happened, and that was the reason why I wanted to tell you about that. And so what was originally going to be toy bram, and I thought that was kind of cute, probably would have been toy bram, has become brandoi, or brandoi, because the toy comes after it. It changes the M to an N. It changes the T to a D. And so instead of toy bram, we have brandoi. And so that's the word for the kind of mech suit, auto armor, whatever, of the tank class of Haugauf. So that is the metal dog. I also don't know how to separate the name of the class from the name of the actual thing. I think the name of the actual thing should probably be in English, whereas the name of the class can be whatever it is. Anyway, so there is our metal dog. That's what we have for the dogs. Now we need to talk about the mice. And the mice side, there's two questions. All right. So first, the second one, the more important one, is obviously what I call it. But the first question is that there are three of these. So there are three Sovála mouse mech classes, and I think I'm gonna pull them up here, even though it's in dark mode. And man, let me tell you, those things are really hard to read in dark mode. Let's see. All right, going down here. Yes. So mice have the worst one, the second best one, and the best one when it comes to these this tank class. Should they all have the same name? I mean, obviously they'll be different individuals, so they'll have different personal names, but should they all have the same name? And there are actually a couple ways to go about this. So we have with the singers, we have just the word for singer is the tier 3 one, so the middle of the road one. The best one is the word for singer, but with an augmentative suffix. So something we could do is say that the tier 5, the best one, has the augmentative suffix and the other two just don't have it. We could also do, the first one has a diminutive suffix, the tier 4 one is regular, and the tier 5 has the augmentative. What do you think? Just throw out stuff. Marn. Okay, that is an interesting idea. So Tethys brings up Arias's suggestion that the word for the generic armor is a calque of whatever we come up with in Wokuthiju. And I think that's pretty good. And do you think that we should have two different words here? One for the class and one for the actual armor? Oh, a capybara person. That sounds really cute. No, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Arias, but no. Man, I saw a picture online of this this Finnish salmon stew, and it just, oh, I've been aching for it. Oh, it's so good. It's got salmon, potatoes, carrots or beets, and kind of a thin broth, sometimes thickened with a little cream and dill. Oh, it's just delightful. Anyway. Mecky Mcmick face. By the way, a calque, for those that don't know, is where you translate the parts of a word rather than borrowing it. So it's a kind of borrowing, but you actually translate the elements of it. And I can never remember any examples. I know that we have some calques from German. If anybody wants to chime in with one, I'll explain it. Oh my gosh. Aria says that calque is a loan word, which is. I believe it comes from French, but loan word is apparently a calque. I didn't know that. So, well, Sprachbund isn't a German calque, right? Because that's an actual German word. Okay, there we go. Arias. Okay, so apparently loan word that we have in English comes from German Lehnwort. And this is a great example. So Lehnwort is a German word. It's a compound. Lehn comes from loan, and Wort comes from word. And we borrowed that, but we didn't borrow it as Lehnwort or Lehnwort or anything like that. We actually translated each part into loan word. And so it's identical, you know, in terms of its composition. It's identical to German, but we replaced each word with an English word. That is an example of a calque. And that is what Arias was suggesting for our English term for this armor. I didn't say Lane wrote or anything. I said Lanewort. Lanewort. What? What? Anyway, yeah, Sprachbund does sound cool. Lanewort sounds weird. Langbert. Initially I did. Anyway. Oh, we borrowed brainwashing from Chinese, which was a calc. The Chinese is, I have no idea how those tones go, especially not if the two tones come next to each other, because there's tone sandi, right? So I don't know. She no. Give me a. I'm basing it on this. That's all. I have no idea what the thing means there. Um, I always find the diacritics as used in Chinese to be very, very counterintuitive. Like a macron is supposed to be high when it obviously looks mid and flat. That's just weird. Okay. So, 洗脑. Oh my God, really? It's level, but it's high. I actually don't know which person to. I know that Jake has studied Chinese, and I know that George is fluent in Chinese at this point. So somehow you know the way you're supposed to pronounce that tonally, but I don't know if I got it right. Hope I did. Anyway. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, returning to Wokuthiji, we have a lot of derivational possibilities. We have more that we can create. But what I would love is for anybody just in English, throw out suggestions. We're brainstorming here for two things. I'm going to try to find a space for this. I'll put it below the historical notes, actually. So for two things. One, words for the actual mechanical armor suit. Two, words for the class that uses the mechanical armor suit. And I'm going to try to... Well, I didn't mean that. All right. All right, there we go. Walker. Shell body. That's pretty good. Yeah, improves a mouse. Is improved. And remember, when we're doing these in Wokuthiju, it's just like a verb. We are big stumpy boy. We're pilot. That is a good suggestion. Hard fur. Scarecrow. Oh, for number two. Oh, I see what you're saying. Aria. So those kind of go together. Also gonna put this down on its own page. Ooh, a little friend, like that. I'm gonna put director next to pilot. Carries a mouse. That's good. I think that's going to be for one. One who sits inside. Okay. Sits inside. That's good. Yeah. Something like that. I'm going to write that down as is, but that's also a possibility where there's just some code name for it. False animal. Mobile burrow. And then I'm gonna I'm actually gonna write here, and I'm gonna do this for both of these. So like unrelated slang. So in other words, it's just something that doesn't make any kind of sense at all. It's like an inside joke. Everything X made that one time. Oh, gotta go have fun. That's a good suggestion, George. Probably not beans, seeds, but I'm gonna write, oh, except not there. Walking rock. Here comes the fun cooker. All right. I'm gonna yeah. I'm gonna hold off on mechanic repairman. I'm gonna tell you why, Magpie. So in playtesting, we discovered that this class was slightly overpowered. Like it can be overcome, but like you needed to really do the right things in order to get it. Now we hadn't tested it with magic classes, but one of the key issues is that in the original version of this, somebody who was piloting the tank could skip their turn and repair damage to their mech, and also 3 times they could completely avoid all damage and shift it to the mech. And basically repairing it was the problem. I still wanted them to be able to shift damage, because when you take 3, basically they're stuck dead in the water. They can't attack or move. But technically they could still win. They could still win the game if they were available and nobody else was. So they wouldn't be out until they were gone by and destroyed. So because of that, we wanted to fix it so that they could no longer repair it in battle. And specifically, this is going to be something that the beavers, so in the expansion, there's going to be a builder class, and they will be able to repair damage for anything that can take damage like that. And so that's why, so yeah, repair mouse would have been perfect, but not because of how we've changed the game. Ooh, Lancer. That actually reminds me of, what do you call it? Shining Force. Committee verified failure. I kind of like that. The only problem with some of these that are really, really good is if they're too long. However, if we can come up with a phrase committee verified failure, then we can shorten it. And by the way things that would shorten in this language would be syllables. So it'd be like, instead of 3 letters, it'd be 3 syllables. Ooh, tall ones. Oh. Hold on, iron whiskers. Okay. All right. I think that we've gotten a lot of good suggestions. So let's stop here for now. Part of it is we want to see what we have, what already exists. And like, do we have a word for to walk? We don't. Oh, also, I wanted to share something. Yeah, Iron Mouse. That would be kind of like the metal dog. But somebody, I think it was George. Oh, George has already left. It's too bad. But he shared an article about. Oh, I don't know if Iron Mouse is from Sailor Moon, but I will tell you what Iron Mouse is from and why it rang a bell. The Iron Mouse is what one of the characters calls herself as her nickname in Indivisible. Probably because she's small and has these two, not ponytails, but like her hair goes out like this and comes out like this, so it kind of looks like mouse ears. And she has a massive metal, like half arm thing that she uses to punch. But what I wanted to share was that George found an article that rats and mice do this thing called bruxing, and and then there's another term that is related to bruxing that I also hadn't heard, where it's like the name for this, it was like, this is what happens when mice are bruxing, and then it's like, what's bruxing? Anyway, so like beaver's front teeth, mice and rats, their teeth continue to grow, but all their teeth. And so periodically they have to just kind of grind their teeth to make sure that they stay the same shape and they stay in the right place. And their eyes kind of go when they're doing this because of the unique shape of their jaw and how it's related to their eye sockets. So anyway, that was just something that certainly we should have a word for in the mouse language. But anyway, boggling is the term. Brexit. Okay, so I'll tell you immediately, I loved Walker. I really liked the carrying idea. That is like the mouse, it carries a mouse, and then the pilot is somebody that is carried. I also liked pilot, director, steerer, something like that. But also love Iron Mouse, Iron Whiskers. We don't have a word for metal, and certainly don't have a word for iron. An alternate version of Iron Man. What if mouse mechs make a big bruxing sound when fighting or charging up an attack? Oh my god. Kind of like that. So in terms of basic words, I think carry could be a basic word. Walk could be a basic word. These would not be basic. And they're cat food. That does sound like a military, coinage thing. And if there's any class that's going to have separate terms for metals, it would certainly be the mice. Let me make sure. Do we have anything for carry? Okay, we don't have anything for any of these words that are real. Do we have to sit down? No, wait. We do. We have to sit. So we could theoretically see And do we have an applicative? We have lots of applicatives. So it would be make a home. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is slide. This is the applicative prefix, and this is I'm sorry, no, this is just random. I'm sorry, this is in the mud. This is the applicative prefix. This is an incorporated noun, and so it would be qua. Yeah, qua, because this is when it comes before a vowel. You know what? I'm going to make this documentation a little clearer. I know that Jessie will appreciate that. Oh, you know what? That's a really good idea. So Arnai Petrichor makes a note. Because there was, the cute idea about, the bruxing, what if it made that sound when it charged up? But the thing is, as Arnai Petrichor points out, grinding is a common mechanical sound. And so a name for the class, well, name for the class, no, I think a name for the item itself could be a bruxer. And the thing is, that would be a really good calc, because we could, just use the woke with issue for whatever a bruxer is. But if we translate it into English, first of all, it actually means something, and second, it's not obvious what it means. I kind of like that. Yeah, I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. Like, is it supposed to be calc? We usually don't pronounce L in that position at all, but it's not cock, right? I don't even know how we're supposed to pronounce that word. I don't like pronouncing it calc. But it's got a Q-U-E on there. It looks like it comes from French. I mean, it does come from French, right? I assume that we borrowed it from French. I said that already. I hope I was correct. All right. I want to see what this would look like. Cool. Yeah, caught. No, we do pronounce the first L in Malcolm. Is that a cool, like, a cool rhyme and rap? Come on, Malcolm, we're gonna calc 'em. Oh, it's just click. So you go from calc to, or I don't know, to calc to calc to click to just, that's how you pronounce it. All right, so that's to sit. And now we need to see where that applicative comes from. Okay. No! Oh my God, no! Huh. Evidently, it doesn't like that one. Let's try that. There we go. Yeah. Quack-oo. 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 Okay, so let's get some suggestions written down. There we go. There we go. Sits inside. Oh, oh. No. It needs a W in front of it, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah. Does it? Does it deflect agreement? Does anybody remember? Yeah. Later on, Jessie. Cruel, Bubba. Cruel. I need to see if applicatives deflect agreement real quick. Oh my God. The applicative can be separately negated? Who came up with that idea? There's nothing that suggests that it can't. See, the issue is that all of the examples that we did feature a full NP subject and an incorporated noun. And this doesn't even have. It doesn't have agreement because there's a full MP right there. That's why it doesn't have agreement. Look at that little boot. Oh, I love this writing system. Person but not number. When objects are introduced, there are a number of different prefixes. Okay. Intransitive agreement is used with intransitive verbs, but when it's used with transitive verbs, it can be understood to be middle voice. Ooh, 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 my. Oh, and the agreement is optional. Okay, okay. Verb is base transitive. Its former direct object argument is rendered in the ablative. Okay. The incorporated negator prevents ordinary noun incorporation, which is weird because we have this whole double negation with the applicative. Oh, Jake, are you suggesting there's an applicative in the name Wokutiji? I didn't realize that. Um, but you can see this is where an example of where Wokutiji deflects agreement. Because in effect, the negative is an incorporated noun. All right, let's go take a look. What's kos? To stack. Group. So no, there's no applicative in Wokuthi. That's basically the group stacks it in Wokuthiji is whatever that is. Yeah, because the applicatives, we only have these three, and they're to, me, and qua. Oh, no, it's the same. It's the same one. I was just, but that W that's at the front. So the wo that's in the front of Wokutiji is a it's what do you call it? It's agreement. That's what it is. And so then that's how it works. But obviously we couldn't add it if the what's it deflects agreement. But I don't think it does. I don't think it does, because there's nothing that's incorporated. The applicative, it's not actually incorporated. If there was an object here, then yes, that would deflect agreement. So either wo could go there, or whatever the word is for the tank could go there. Actually, what's the word for shell? Ole. So up here, oh boy. I'm just going to write pole as the word for shell. We'd have wokwaku, or pole kwaku. Pole kwaku. Wokwaku. Wokwa. Oh boy. Wokwaku. Pole kwaku. Pole kwaku. Oh my gosh. Pole kwaku. That's let's see. What is our Augmentative is fia. What's tsu then? What? Wait a minute. So wojala is singer. But what's wojala ti? Because that's not our augmentative. Oh, I think I know what that is. I think I know what that is. It's not an augmentative. It is, and it's not one of those. It is one of these. I don't know which one of these it is, but it's one of these, I swear. Here we go. Circuitously, needlessly complex. Oh my goodness. So that's what it is. It's not the great singer, it's the singer that is needlessly complex. Okay, so maybe that isn't the exact same thing we should do for our other thing. Okay, so next, let's go to, I do want to do augmentative plus shell as a recommendation. I think it's down here. So fia or feel? It's going to be fia. So that's fiapole. That's great shell. Let's see. I like this idea of the bruxer, though. Bruxing is it's an intransitive activity, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's not going to require an object. And then so the intransitive is going to be wa. What happens when it comes before a vowel? Anybody? It's the collective. That's what the is. Okay, when it comes before a vowel, it just disappears. Got it. Got it. I think. All right. So this word is going to begin with just a W if it comes before a vowel, or a W plus a long plus a high ah. I believe. So what I'm going to ask is that we come up with suggestions for the verb to brux with the understanding that, oh, here we are, with the understanding that it is going to verb brux with the understanding that it's going to have a wa or a what in front of it. Yeah, because I think it's just W. The source of third person singular is just W. Yes, there it is. And I'm going to pull up the inventory. Remember, if you're looking at protoforms, the red ones are protoforms that have changed or are no longer in the language. The green sounds are not protoforms, so don't put those in there. We don't have ha. There's no H in this language. There's no ha in this language. There is nothing beyond the velar, the velum. Yeah, there we do have dental sounds. So proto ta ta ta. Sorry, ta ta ta. And those are proto sounds. The th and the ev, they're not proto sounds. This is the word for bruxing. So what we're talking about is there is a practice among rodents to grind their teeth in order to keep them in shape. Oof. I'm going to write them in here. Let's see here. We can't have consonant clusters. We can't have sh. If something ends in an F, it's going to result in a low tone on the previous vowel. Narmo, there's no theta, there's no proto theta. If you want to have that be modern, it would need to be that. Very sorry, Patrick. So here are some of the modern forms we're coming up with. A lot of these are monosyllabic. We're looking at th, I, sorry, I, ta. I'm sorry, I, ta, fue, ite, a, te. I'm sorry, te, ta, the, a, na, I, ki, I, I, ki, I. Sorry, I, ki, I. I would love to have another disyllabic. Ata. All right, so first, straight off the bat, I'm going to eliminate, actually maybe not, because this is just, which one are we doing? Bruxing, this is the Bruxer. This is going to be the calc, right? So we don't have to worry about how it looks. So never mind. Never mind. Oh God, mix. That's going to come out as, you know, messy, messy. I'm gonna start creating a poll here because oh, I was on top chat. So sorry. Let's see. So I like that. And I like this one. Let's do some monosyllabic options. Do like I do like that. I do think this should be monosyllabic though. All right. I've narrowed it down. Here we go. Let's see what we get. Wow, it's all over the place. By the way, you know, Biblaridian was watching at the beginning of this episode. The moment that I said Jesse was going to be here, he just completely logged off, shut his computer down, and went to bed. Man, this is a hotly contested vote. And they're all low vowels. I'm not low vowels. They're all low tone, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Oh, value refers to a play that the Suns made in their 2021 championship run when they played the Clippers and they were down by one, threw an alley-oop from out of bounds that led to a dunk, which was the thing that decided the game. It was incredible. Would have been one of the greatest plays of all time had we actually won the championship that year. But the Suns have never won the championship. They're my favorite team in sports, in my favorite sport, which is basketball. I'm sure there are plenty of examples and or similar examples in soccer, but you know the Suns were formed in, I believe, 1968, and have been to the championship 3 times, and the best they've ever done is won 2 out of 7 games. Never ever won a championship. By the way, the poll is tied right now. Tied between and ta. Both adjective, both with a, both low tone. One is an adjective, and the other is adjective. Oh, well, I mean, all sports in America are fairly recent. You know, our oldest sports, I think, are, you know, baseball, which goes back to the 19th century, and like American football, which goes back to the 19th century. But the leagues are actually much newer than that. Most leagues got organized sometime between the 40s and 50s. Clearly, it should be. All right, I'm going to end it here. Yep, we just got another vote. All right, it is to be and so what is going to be the Bruxer is a what? I love that. And of course, what I mean is not the sports themselves, but actual like organization around them, and you know, actual teams and stuff. All right, so we have it. It is going to be the Bruxer, which is going to be what? All right. So now we're going to add this to our vocabulary. Not before I give myself a little treat. I refuse to enjoy any Kopicon without any Copico without Jessie. And so instead I'm going to slum it with a Werther's original coffee flavor. Werther's, when all you can settle for is second best. It's actually pretty good. I think Werther's original was named after good old Sorrows of Young Goethe. Maybe if he'd had some hard candy, he wouldn't have killed himself. Spoiler alert. Okay. We need a verb that ends in ideally that. Perfect. By the way, The Sorrows of Young Goethe, the actual book, astounding. Like, if it were written today, holy smoke, that person would just be laughed off of the internet. It's about a young man, Goethe, who falls in love with a woman who doesn't really like him. And as a result, he gets mopey and sad and writes a poem about how sad he is and then reads it to her to make her feel bad. And then when she still rejects him, he kills himself. That is the actual plot of the book. Humiliating. All right. I mean, we've come up with one word. Oh, it did pass for romantic in those days, McCain. Not only that, there was a kind of minor phenomenon of there being copycat suicides after The Sorrows of Young Goethe came out. Stunning. Mm. All right, I'm going to write a little explanation in here for when mice grind their teeth in order to keep them small and healthy, and their little eyes bulge as a result. We have to decide on a negator. Yeah, it's. I think it says something about the times, you know. and where you look at it and see how, there are lots of things that are different about now and in the past, but there, I think with that book specifically, it was like, I think that cautiously, I would suggest that as a general society, we've developed a bit more emotional intelligence when it comes to evaluating a story like that and deciding, who the hero is, Anyway, we need to go to negation. Okay. I didn't brux a paw. No. I didn't brusque a whisker. Maybe. I didn't brux a breath. I didn't brux a start. I didn't brux a twitch. I think so. A buzz, no. A crumb. A raindrop, a seed, a squeak, a dot. So yeah. Yeah, I think I didn't brux a twitch is the appropriate one, and it's going to be E, which makes sense. Well, okay, twitch, you know what? Twitch, squeak, and crumb could all work. Let's do it. Oh, I don't think we're gonna do like a pull this week, just because we're not working on the beaver language, and I wanted Jessie to be here. There we go. Bubba was really late in figuring out that he accidentally wrote LangTime stupid. I do appreciate that, though. Thank you for letting me know. And I will be sure that we close up more quickly. I want to see if I can get Wata in there. While I wait. A mechanical suit fat. That's Tank's pilot. It's really Brooks's macromes. And then I hope this is inanimate. Looks like Twitch is going to take it. Hang on a second. Oh, Jessie texted me. She said to say hi to everybody. All right. So Twitch it is. I'm gonna add it. Does anybody remember if I added to the T count? I am letting her know. Okay, good. And then was Twitch E? It was E. Okay. Now Brooks. And so we got E. And okay. Perfect. All right. I suppose I should add this here. Oh, so help me. Oh, so help me. Are you serious? All right, and then I'll go ahead and just for my own purposes, so that so I'll be able to find that again. All right. No, it does not. All right, so we have our Bruxer, and now this doesn't make any sense anymore. This doesn't make any sense anymore. This does. This does. This does. This doesn't make any sense anymore. And not that. So I think it's something that, you know, is carried or directs or steers. It pilots it, it pushes it, it directs it, and then it sits inside. Wokwaku, wokwaku. And then this doesn't make any sense anymore either. What do you think about it carries it or it is carried? Or it directs it, it steers it, it pilots it, versus this word that we have, it sits inside it, which is wokwaku. 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 I can get used to saying that. Wokwaku. Wokwaku. It's a little tough. Wokwaku. It's a little. Wokwaku. Yeah, I can get used to that. Pilot is the tongue. We might have something for that. Oh, we don't have to lead. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to think about this. Maybe I will actually make this a poll, even though it's going to be a little bit of a throwback poll. Because the idea of piloting, directing, steering, it's really complex. We need to figure out where this thing is going to come from. I think you're right. I think that is going to have to be where our word comes from. And so we'll think about that. Anyway, all right. So I think that we are probably going to call it here because I do have that meeting at 4 p.m. I'm going to think about that and maybe put together a poll. But yeah, I really like that. And thank you very much. I was having a hard time even sitting down, coming up with even where to start with words for this. And honestly, the whole bruxing thing, that was just an aside, a little note that I didn't think was going to be relevant to what we were doing. I'm sure George didn't either. But that ended up giving us something really pretty good. So I'm very, very happy with that. Anyway, so with that, I urge you to stay grammar, and hopefully next week Jessie will be here one way or the other. Word is, even if she is selected as a jury person, that it should be done by next Wednesday. So I am hoping that Jessie will be here either way. Still no word on if she was selected for the jury or as an alternate. We will see, fingers crossed. Anyway, stay the one and all grammar. Remain the in grammar. Keep to grammar. Keep grammar at thy breast. And, oh wait, no, that's not what we need. We need this. Thanks very much for watching, and see you next week. Bye, everybody.